Okay, let's go through all again. I don't mind. I am so sorry for forcing you guys watch in silence just now. Okay, so for Leo's memory, oh yeah, let's go through it properly. Set the timer. Okay, so I'll be talking this to cover these few topics for today. So on Leo's memory, I'll be covering on strong kite zones, strong weak ciphers, trap areas, kiting routes, what is dropped for initiative, and how to hunt. Okay, so let's go through the first one, which is the strong kite zones. So I'll set myself a 10 minutes timer in order to make sure I don't overtime. Okay, so let's talk about strong kite zones. Now the strong kite zones for Leo's memory is only a relative manner for this map because in comparison to other maps such as Sacred Heart Hospital or Arms Factory, its strongest kite zone is not as strong. For example, Hospital or Factory. But nonetheless, let's go through it. So first one that I like to go through is Factory. Now Factory, I would say is one of the better kite zones of the map. So for this, well, let me define what is a strong kite zone. Explain a bit. So strong kite zones are what I would say would have a window, a pallet, and also high walls. So all these three factors is what would make it difficult for a hunter to hit you. Okay, so on the pallet, now I would say this pallet is pretty important. It's a very important pallet for this kite zone because it single-handedly will allow you to loop a lot combined with this particular pallet. Okay, so this particular path will enable you to waste minimum 20 to 30 seconds if you utilize it well. So try to conserve it just by this notion alone. Okay, drop this pallet if necessary, especially if the hunter is somewhere around this distance, you can drop it safely, and most of the time the hunter will break. Or they choose to bypass it and it's quite a distance. Okay? Now if the hunter is too close around here, don't drop because they will most of the time they will preemptively hit. You see? It's just at the right distance. I come here and if you drop during a drop animation, you will get hit. So don't do that. Instead, run off a little bit, see what they do. Now if they're too close, now this is the perfect time to drop. Okay, because if here they attack and they would right in smack in the middle of the pallet. Okay, but be careful also because sometimes hunter they would mind game you into hitting and they reverse at the last minute. Okay, and that will also trigger a drop, trigger a hit. Okay, so most of the time the best way to do it is that imagine if you are the survivor right now, you run, pivot, wait for the attack animation, wait for the attack animation. Now you drop. So that will enable you to drop safely and buy further time because most of the time when right facing a pallet, the hunter will break the pallet. And that will give you sufficient time to go into this window and do it all over again. Okay, you can then either come here and loop again, or you can drop the pallet and run towards here. This is a very good funnel pallet which I will talk about later. Or you can choose to run up here. Now I would normally advise against dropping down. Okay, because it might give the hunter a free no attack recovery attack. Unless you're a female dancer, then go ahead. Otherwise, I would suggest you to just go here. Go here. Now this is another potential loop in itself. Okay, if the hunter is still far, meaning by the time you reach here, you haven't seen the red light. Where is it? You haven't seen the red light coming up from here. Okay, you can just go up ahead. Okay, and maybe re-enter the factory. If we do this so that to limit the hunter's visibility at maximum level. Okay, Or if the hunter is close, meaning by the time you reach here and you can see the red light already, drop down and go from here. Okay, then you will be able to reach back to this pallet most of the time, no problem. Okay, so that is the first kite zone. It's a factory on how you want to utilize it, but also beware the sometimes basement is here, so do take that into consideration. Okay, so let's check the chat if it's okay so far. Is it alright, guys? I kind of have phobia a bit from just now. Nice. Okay, okay, okay. Good, 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 good. Okay, so that's for factory. Now let's move on to the next kite zone. Next kite zone, okay, which is sometimes we call OP kite or God kite. Okay, now for this kite zone, okay, these two pellets, these two pellets is very good, plus a window. Okay, so it's a pretty simple loop. It's a pretty simple loop in which you can loop like this. There's a lot of permutation to it. Okay, you can walk the window, etc. But sometimes there's another palette that most of the time players forget, which is there's one palette here. This palette in itself is also very strong, but because it's a bit disconnected from the rest of the zone, and maybe sometimes a bit difficult to get into here. Okay, so what you can do, you can easily just loop like this. The nice thing is that when you loop here, right, you loop here, you go here, you can also go to the back here in which you can reach this palette. So there's a lot of way of permutation and combination that you can do around here. Cut these pallets, these two pallets also drop as necessary. Drop as necessary. You can also use it for pallet stun because if you run and turn the corner here, the hunter actually has a blind spot. You can't exactly see. As you run here, if you loop here, right? So what is the motion? Motion is normally you will loop. You will loop. The hunter have no choice but to follow you. Now you loop. The hunter would uh following trailing you, and just as you turn, go back and drop the pallet. So that would result in a quite an easy pallet stun. But of course, the thing about pallets securing a pallet stun is all about the mind game. Okay, combination of running through, of backpedaling, of don't camp, but however don't camp behind the pallet like this. Okay, the hunter can see you, so you just keep moving. The notion of this would mind game the hunter into making it difficult to guess whether are you going to drop, are you going to drop early, are you going to pallet stun, or are you just going to continue to loop. Okay, so that gives them a hard time to guess. Now you drop the pallet, then combine with this window, it will really buy you a lot of time. You don't even need broken windows here. Okay, so this is a second strong kite zone. Later I will also I'll also cover into transitional 8 areas, which are areas on how to transition into and out of the strong kite zone. Also an important factor. Okay, next is I'll go here. This is where we call the Christmas tree ruins. Okay, this is a semi kite zone. I would say it's not the strongest because while there are walls, they are not really well placed enough to block the vision. Example, when you are looping here, now the hunter if stand here can see you loop. Okay, can see you loop pretty easily. Okay, when you loop here, the hunter may not necessarily follow you around. Okay, the hunter can actually choose to come here, and that would throw you off quite a bit. Okay, contrary to before, the OP kite and the factory loop, while you're looping, the hunter can't see you clearly, but on this end, on this kite zone, the hunter can actually see you. So that's why I say it's a semi kite zone. It's not very viable, but still okay, not too bad. These two pellets are not the best, but not the worst neither. Okay, in which that once you pass through, you can pivot sharply to the left or right to avoid a hit and then drop. Okay, likewise here. This one also, if you enter from here, you can pivot easily here and drop, or here, pivot, drop. Okay, now that's also this palette, which is also not too bad. Also not too bad, in which you can loop like this. Okay, you can loop like this. Drop the palette, then you can go over here. Okay, so this is the third kite zone. The fourth kite zone, and also very strong, which is what we call the moon walls. Moon walls is basically there's a moon and there's walls, so therefore moon walls. Oops, time. Let me just finish here. Okay, so there's three palettes. There are three palettes. So what you can do, you can zigzag, you can loop. Okay, there's a lot of permutation to it. There's a lot of permutation to it that you a combination that you can do. Okay, just make sure that just make sure there's one thing here. Okay, you go through this palette, try not to turn left. Try not to go through here. Because if you go through here, right, you leave yourself out of the kite zone already. Because the kite zone area is here. Now once you step out, right, example if it's like a fister or sculptor, they can place their skill in such a way that force you to step out of the kite zone, and that will put you into disadvantage. Okay, so instead look towards here, look towards the center. Always remember, try to look back to the center. Okay, later I will talk about again on the transitional 8 area. Okay, then cover here. This one is also another semi-kite zone, but the two pallets and the window is very viable here. Okay, these two pallets are pretty good for looping. Now if you loop, right, contrary to before, you can't just simply loop like this, because you see the circle is too small. What happens if you try to do that? The hunter can just position themselves here and then wait for you to trap. Like example, if it's a geisha, okay, I would just wait for you to add. You drop a pellet, I will put a butterfly here. Okay, then I will just corner you here by coming here. You drop the pellet, I can dash and then come to the other side. Now you're in trouble. Okay, I will cover this more later in the hunter portion. So what you need to do is that you need to keep looping this way. You can loop like this also okay. The trick is that you try not to loop in a small circle. Okay, you can also loop like this, no problem. Okay, the last kite zone. The last kite zone is box corner. Box corner because you see there's boxes and it's in a corner. Okay, box corner, there's one pallet. This pallet is very strong and two windows. Okay, so what you can do, you can actually just loop this way. You can walk this window and then walk this window. Okay, then you can back to here in such a big area. Try to conserve this pallet. Okay, now this pallet is very strong because once you drop, example, if you're looping this way, once you drop, the hunter will need to go through all the way around here. Okay, which is very big. So most of the time the hunter will break if you drop this pallet. This one, however, is a trap pallet. Don't use here, don't come here. Because if you ever come into this scenario where you drop the pallet, example, you are here, you drop the pallet, then the hunter can easily trap you within already. Okay, you drop the pallet, you can't pretty much run. Okay, example, if it's geisha or fister, you drop the pallet, the fister just put a tentacle here. Now you're caught in the pincer attack. You can't even go left or right because of the short walls. Okay, so try not to come here. This is although a strong kite zone, but this particular area is a trap, so don't come here. Okay, so that's it. For the strong kite zones, uh, we have the factory, the OP kite, Christmas tree, and also moon walls. Okay, shack. Okay, let's talk about shack. Let's talk about shack. Okay, what the heck? Okay, for shack, right? Usually there's a cipher here, but I don't fancy shack most of the time because the visibility is very bad. Yes, you may be able to hide at the pallet immediately you got heartbeat, but the problem with that is that you don't know what hunter is it. So example, I one time I main jack for season 12 or 13. I actually caught a lot of survivors doing this. Okay, they will stand behind the pallet and hide. Okay, and I just throw a blind flock. I just throw a blind flock through here, and that gives me a free hit. Okay, so that's the problem with shack. Personal preference, really, personal preference. If you are okay with it, then by all means go ahead. But I'm not a fan of using shack. Okay, so that is the so we're done with strong kite zones. Okay, before I go on to the next topic, let's check the chat if it's all right. Okay, you guys got any question? Can just ask. I'll check back the chat if there's anything. If there's nothing, then I'll go to the strong weak ciphers. Okay, the strong and weak ciphers. Okay, now I like to highlight this here. Now, especially for lower tier players or young new players, is most of the time you spawn. Okay, example, you just spawn here. You will see where is the highlighted cipher. Example, in this case is here, and you would normally just rush, go to the nearest cipher and decode. Okay, now this is not no longer the correct play once you reach about mid tier or high tier, because not all ciphers are viable. Some of the ciphers are actually very dangerous. So I will go through here now to cover the current topic is what are the strong ciphers and weak ciphers. Okay, strong ciphers are basically ciphers that are strong and safe for you to decode. If you spawn next to it, or if you are a decoder, look out for these ciphers. Okay, because they are in a strong kite zone, and you would be able to protect yourself if ever the hunter comes near you. Okay, so let's go. The first one, obviously, is a factory cipher inside factory itself. Okay, if the hunter comes near, you can immediately hug the pallet. Okay, now contrary to shack, yeah. Okay, because this particular area gives you a lot of room, see a lot of angle for you to see where the hunter is coming from just by hiding here. Okay, so this is the difference between factory and shack. Yes, even though they are both in enclosed area and have a pallet, but because of this notion alone, you see the distance that the hunter will need to travel to you is actually quite far. Even from here, most of the time the hunter wouldn't approach from here. Okay, but even if that's the case, you can still see. Okay, so this is the difference with shack. Okay, so this is a good cipher. Then the other one is obviously at OP kite. Okay, you see they are also next to a pallet, very close to a pallet that you can immediately run to in case that you have a heartbeat. Okay, the other strong ciphers is here at the moon walls. You see also again close to a pallet that you can run to immediately. Okay, box corner, there's a window that you can really walk. So you see the common denominator among all these safe ciphers, right, is that there is something that is next to the cipher that you can immediately work with. Okay, but contrary, let's see, I think this is a Christmas tree. Yep. Now Christmas tree cipher, I am a 50-50. Okay. It's vision wise you can be difficult to see, but at the same time there's a palette here. So I'm torn in between. Again, also it's a semi kite zone. Okay, it's not too bad, but not the best either. Okay, so if you're a decoder and you really have to, you can come here, but try not to. Okay, so those are the strong ciphers. Strong ciphers. Now weak ciphers. Okay, this is weak. Now I would say this is weak because let's see, one of the reason there's a pallet right behind it, but for you to go to the pallet, you need to walk quite a distance. Okay, contrary to before, previously the pallet could be like just like next within reach of a cipher. Okay, that's reason number one. Reason number two is out in the open. Okay, it's out in the open, and you have the hunter may have clear visibility on you. But that is also a good point about this cipher because it's also very clear. You also have a clear visibility of the entire area. And because this cipher is around the middle of the map, it's very suitable for mercenary to take. Okay, so mercenary, or if you are a team kiter, such as if you are a perfumer, if you are a barmaid, you would normally take this cipher because you want to bait for the first chase. Okay, but if you're a decoder, definitely avoid. Okay, this cipher is weak. Then the other one is this. This cipher also, I would say, is a 50-50. 50-50 strong is because there's a pallet nearby. Okay, there's a pallet nearby. 50-50 weak is because you want to transition out of this area is not easy. Okay, so example why you drop this pallet, the closest one that you can go through is over here. And if you see, it's quite a distance away. It's quite a distance away. So if you are able to loop and then drop in such that while the hunter is over here, you force a pallet to break. Okay, let's time. Normally hunter breaks a pallet, it takes about 4 to 5 seconds. Okay, so let's count. Break pallet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, you haven't reached, you're right in the middle. So if the hunter is sculptor or geisha, so what happens is that they can drop the cipher, and locate you and really dash towards you, or put a statue to impede your path. So that is why I say this cipher I'm not quite keen. Okay, so it's a 50-50. Even if you're a kiter, just have to beware. Whereas where if I'm playing hunter, I would usually check this cipher because a lot of survivors tend to choose it. Okay, there's another cipher here, which is the propane tank. Okay, propane tank is also okay, but you will have to be very aware as a survivor because while you okay at around this height survivor, your vision is quite limited. Okay, your vision is quite limited. If the hunter is coming from here, you can't see. You'll be too completely blindsided. But the good thing is that the pallet is right next to the cipher. So at any moment you got a heartbeat, you can straight away come over here and check your surrounding. Where is the hunter coming from? Where is the hunter coming from? Okay, if the hunter is coming from here, obviously you go behind. Okay, but don't cut it too close. Okay, don't cut it too close. If the hunter is somewhere around here, then you need to start positioning yourself here already. Okay, position yourself here, then see where the hunter is coming from. Okay, the hunter is coming here, and you saw the hunter is walking this way, then obviously you loop him. Okay, you loop, then go over here accordingly. Okay, then you can drop the pallet as necessary. Okay, I will cover later on the kiting route on how to exit or enter into other kite zone. Last cipher would be here. This cipher is alright, not too bad. Okay, the decoder you can also use here because it's quite easily able to transition towards the moon walls. Okay, vision wise it's not too bad. It's not too bad. You can angle, you can see from this side as well as this side. Okay, so these are quite good ciphers. Okay, so a few other ciphers, just to okay. I would like to point out these ciphers are quite good cipher for kiters, which is this one. There's one cipher here. Okay, Now this cipher actually is pretty good, stronger than what it seems because of these two pellets and this container alone. Okay, you can loop a lot for a long time here. Okay, of course, granted if the hunter didn't have used any skills. Okay, so what you can do is that you can loop, and because of the height of the container, it's just nicely enough to obscure the height of the survivor. Okay, so what you can do, you can just loop around. Okay, drop the pellet, see where the hunter is going. Okay, if the hunter comes near, okay, then obviously then you can still loop. Okay, if a hunter goes around, okay, then you can also continue to loop. Hunter breaks a pellet, then you can immediately transition here. Okay, you see, hunter break 1 2 3 4 5. See, you've reached a pellet. Okay, or you can even go here, this pellet, but try not to. Later I'll explain. Okay, so this is a cipher that is quite good for kiters because of the pellets and also quite good visibility all around. Okay, quite visible. Okay, the last cipher, this one is also a very dangerous cipher. uh, I always forget, it's somewhere here or here. It's either one here. Okay, now this cipher, beware, because although it's next to the factory, it's right out in the open. Okay, it's right out in the open. Closest pallet is here. Okay, so if you're I can't recall precisely where, but I mean this pallet is still very accessible. Okay, so you just need to watch out where the hunter is coming from. If you're a decoder, obviously don't take. If you're a kiter, take. Okay, so let's go through again. Strong ciphers, meaning decoder can take factory, box corner, OP kite, and moonwalls. Okay, mercenary cipher, central. Okay, kiter, you can take. Try to avoid the Christmas tree. Christmas tree. Try to avoid Christmas tree. But Christmas tree ruins is okay. This container is okay, and the one at propane tank. Okay. Now let's talk about hunter. That is for survival. Now hunter usually is reverse. Okay, when I hunt, I will definitely avoid the strong kite zones. I usually really like to sweep in this way. Try to go through the Christmas tree, isolate if there's tinnitus, zoom in. Otherwise, go here. Then here would enable you to isolate whether the tinnitus is shed or not. If not, then come here. Then here would isolate for the central. If not, then go up further front in this direction. Okay, because I will obscure myself for the propane tank. Okay, if I once I reach around here, if tinnitus activates, it will indicate there's a survivor here. Okay, so that will be my path, my hunting path for a hunter, regardless of where I sweep. I mean, regardless of where I spawn, I will always sweep these few ciphers. I mean that's just personal preference because my personal preference is that I would sweep big ciphers instead of the closest spawn points. My tactic is usually aim for big ciphers, then that would allow me for easy or more efficient down. If I sometimes spawn the closest survival spawn is example at the factory, even though it's closest, but because it's the strongest kite zone, the kiter I will be kited for quite a bit there. Okay, so that's it for ciphers. Okay, so that's done. Let's check the chat. Yeah, that's right. That's how it is that you need to know how to rotate and need to know where are the ciphers. So particular, even more so, it's same for both survivor and hunter to know what ciphers are each. Like example right now, I know where which ciphers are at where. So I know exactly when I want to teleport, which cipher are they. And this is very important for me as a no camper, that I need to know which cipher are being decoded and whether it's viable for me to teleport to or not. So for example, if I've downed a survivor, I've checked, then I'm looking for shaking cipher. I saw factory cipher is shaking. Now factory is a very strong kite zone. If I were to teleport there, I would be kited for a long time there. So sometimes even if wanted, like example wanted order and shaking cipher is on this one, I may not necessarily teleport over. Instead, I will look for weaker cipher, like example here. Then I will teleport over. Okay. So having the knowledge of ciphers and their spawn locations is important both as a survivor and a hunter. Alright, so let's look on the next one, trap areas. Okay, give me a while, I drink my coffee for a bit. Okay, let's talk about trap area. Now the problem with Leo's memory that many players dislike, even as a hunter, even as a survivor. Now you see the map is very congested with all these obstacles, all these stuffs. It gives you a false pretense of security that you thought there's actually a lot of things may able to help you cut, but actually there's not. There's absolutely nothing there. Okay, so let's cover the first area, this such an area. Okay, which is here, which is here. You now coming out from factory, you will see like, oh, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, I can just run. It's not open area. But in fact, if you look at it closer, it's actually an open area, okay, a desolated area where you have absolutely nothing, no pallet to work with. So what happens is that sometimes I'm able to trap my survivors by doing this. But when they do this, okay, they go here, they walk the window, they don't have broken windows, so they just run out in the open like this. Okay, if they do, it's pretty much a free range for me because there's nothing here. All right. So because it's an open area, don't do that. Instead, if you really have to exit the factory, you come to this pallet. Come to this pallet. Okay. Now this is a very good funnel pallet. Funnel pallet is something that looks like this. You see? Man, no. Okay. There's a wall. It's shaped like a funnel in which you will force a hunter to go in. Okay. You can come in. And once you drop this pallet, the hunter most of the time will have no choice but to break because they are already in the funnel and they cannot just simply go around easily due to the obstacles. Okay, most of the time hunter will break. But then funnel it also in reverse it may not be true. Example, if you are coming from this direction, okay, you drop. The hunter is over here. Now if the hunter is over here, they can just go bypass like this. Okay, and that will put you in a very bad position. Okay, I'll try to cover this more in detail later during hunting on how to corner your target. But let's go back to this area, which is the open area, the topic, which is open area. Try to avoid. At the same time, also try to avoid this. You walk and then you run towards here, this pallet. Yes, it's the closest pallet, but then that will negate the use of you vaulting the window. Because if you're looping here, the hunter can just ignore the window and just go through the window and then reach the pallet. Okay. Even if you have broken windows, even if you have broken windows, you can reach in time, but the hunter can also negate the effect by bypassing the window. Whereas if you have, oh, come on. Whereas if you have broken window, you can run here. That would be a more desired path because the hunter most of the time will have to walk, and if they don't walk, they choose not to walk, and they have to go quite a big turnaround to reach here. Okay, so this is the first trap area. Avoid, avoid, don't come in. The second trap area here. Here may also look like, oh my god, ping. Okay. Okay, so here, this is where the area is. You see, there's nothing here to work with. So this is why I rate this chair quite high. I rate it about 8 to 9. If you're a hunter, always try to chair here, especially if this pallet has already been used. Then the survivor have nothing to work with coming here. Now why I say this is a trap area, because here is always empty, and most of the time I'm able to trap my kiter when they run here. It's practically a free hit. You see, you want to reach this pallet, it's very far away. It's very far out of reach. Or even if coming out from this pallet, you're exiting from here, you want to go here, it's very far. It's very far. So that's where most of the survivors fail, in which they choose to run towards this direction. Okay, now you see this area is very big, which absolutely nothing there. Okay, so the third open area, the third open area really doesn't look like it because there's a lot of obstacles, which is here, which is here. There's also nothing much here to work with. Okay, there's only a tank, this dumbass car, and some trees. Okay, so try to avoid. And this area also a lot of survivor may fall trap into, because what happens is that they would exit the shack and then they turn here and run. They turn here and run, and found out there's absolutely nothing here. You see. So these are the three areas to avoid. So these are the three areas to avoid. When you run, don't run here. Okay, you are just setting yourself up for a free hit. Whereas as a hunter, if you're a hunter, try to corner the survivors into running here. How? Well, it really ups to your skill. If you're what do you call it? You're a fister, if you're bonbon, if you're a sculptor, you can do so by use of your skill, by limiting their path. Okay, so these are the trap areas. Trap areas done. Next is kiting routes already. Okay, let's check the map. Check the chat. Oz is here. The hunter comes to moonwall 70% of the time. Yes, it's true, because it's part of the path, but also because the the area itself is pretty strong, so you can still potentially waste quite a bit of time there. Key spawns. No, sorry, Ray, I don't memorize key spawns because that's not my preferred technique. But I understand it's indeed one of the better ways to memorize spawns, but I can't. Um, yeah, I need to minimize the game to read because I'm using my phone. I don't have a laptop, company didn't give. Okay, just let me take a short break. Okay, next is kiting routes. If you guys have any questions, let me see. How is MCO? MCO is alright. Traffic is smooth, I don't mind. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, I'm teaching basic skills. So these are the skills that regardless of the character you're using, okay, you can still utilize this knowledge. Okay, next is a kiting route. Okay, before I go to kiting route, let me define a term which is called the transitional aid area. Transitional aid area is areas that are small areas, such as this, with low walls, and there's a pallet. Sometimes maybe two, sometimes maybe three, or sometimes one. Okay, This particular area, these areas are good for normally 1 to 1.5 loops at best. Okay, if you can get loop twice, 2 loops, that's very good already. Okay, so what happens is that you loop. You may not necessarily even able to loop, but you will drop the pellet. Okay, you will drop the pellet, then you circle around, and see, and force the hunter to break the pellet, then you transition up. Okay, so these are what I call the transitional 8 area. Okay, and I will be also covering what is drop for initiative later. Okay, let's start with moon walls. Just as it is important to understand what are the strong kite zones, it is also equally important to know how to transition into or out of the kite zone. Okay, and that is what made Leo's memory quite a strong map for survival. It's because there is a kiting circle route, and I will show you now. Okay, so for moon walls, let's begin moon walls. You can try to exit via this wire here, or via this pallet is fine, but you have to exit it in this direction. Okay, if you exit here, when I say exit, meaning you drop the pallet, force a hunter to break, hunter break. Okay, then you go next to this pallet. Okay, so example, hunter break, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now by the time the hunter has break and resume his vision, you have already reached this pallet and you're pretty safe. Okay, so what you do here is that you can loop. Now the hunter is forced to follow your trail. Okay, you can come here. Now the hunter is closer to you already. Okay, then you can drop the pellet. Check out where the hunter is going. The hunter maybe go around. Hunter go around, great. You can come here and walk. Now he's forced to follow a trail again. Okay, follow a trail. You can come here, walk over. Then the hunter finally has enough. Decide to break the pellet. Break the pellet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can go to shack. Okay. If you can't make it, you can use this pellet. Come over here. Come over here. Okay. Then drop the pellet. Come over here and immediately drop the pellet. Drop the pellet, which is what I call drop for initiative. Play with the area. Okay. Play with the area. Then try to exit in this direction into the shack. Okay, once at shack, then you see where is the distance of the hunter. Okay, if the hunter is far away, then you can just pass easily. Okay, not necessarily drop. If a hunter is somewhere around here, then you need to drop. Okay, you drop it, then force a hunter to break, then you can just linger around here. Okay, linger around here. Check what is the hunter doing. If the hunter breaks, walk. Now this is very good to just go up ahead, because by going up ahead you already have 2 pallets here. Go to either one of them, and this is a funnel pallet. Look at the funnel, look at the shape of it. Okay, it's a funnel. Likewise, this one is not so good of a funnel over here, but it's a funnel over this direction, at this direction. See, I swear to you, man, my ping. Okay, anyway, you come over here, and just actually you can afford to wait at the pallet and look at the hunter. Where is he coming from? What is his plan? Okay, the hunter may walk the window and come closer. Come closer. Then you can drop the pellet. You can drop the pellet, and then run accordingly. Okay. So example, you drop the pellet, hunter saw you drop the pellet, then start to go around. What you call it? Bypass. Then you just go around. The hunter goes around. Come here. You can walk. Then the hunter. Then the hunter go around again. You can repeat this, rinse and repeat. Hunter finally has enough of your crap. Breaks the pellet. Come here. Circle once again, rinse and repeat. Okay. These 2 pellets are very strong, in which that is a very good funnel in this direction. Use it as you seem fit. if you're able to exit it like this, drop, hunter break, come over here. See how close the pellets are to each other. Once again, this is also another strong funnel. Look at that. It's a funnel shape and another funnel. Okay, look this way, drop, hunter break, you can come over here to the container and you reach. Or you can come here. But here is a bit far. Alright, so depending on which pallet you exit, okay, you can also exit here and come here. But that's a bit dangerous because the hunter will be here and it's quite close if you run back in this direction. Okay, so let's get back to it. Okay, break, come over here, and then you can circle again a lot of times here. Circle, circle. Okay, force hunter to break, then come to OP kite. Okay, OP kite, loop, loop. Okay, force hunter to break. Ayo, what the heck, man? Force hunter to break. Then you can go around the tank and come to this pallet, either of this pallet. Okay, come either to this pallet. Now this is a very good area, because once you drop the pallet, right, you have this entire area to play with. Okay, you can easily just, oh my god, it's very good looking. You can just do this. Okay, likewise, this pallet is also very good. See the shape, it's an L shape. Okay, so just now we have come from OP kite to these two pallets. Okay, force hunter to break, then you can come over here to these two funnels again. Look at this N shape, N or S shape pallets. Okay, exit, drop this pallet, hunter break. Now you have transitioned safely into factory. Don't necessarily need to drop that, walk window, then you can loop here, hunter close, okay, drop pallet, hunter break, make your way here. You don't even necessarily need to drop this. Okay, you can go around again, then you can walk, okay, walk, then you can go here. Okay, now usually I wouldn't like to exit the factory via the window, because if you have no broken windows, even you see this distance is not very close. It's not very close, but because of this shear strength of this pallet, then I can afford to do that. But when you exit this pallet, this window, like I said just now, go to the container. So come here, okay, you can drop the pallet preemptively, no problem. Then you can play around. Okay, there's this pallet, and there's these two pallets. These two pallets, they are very good. Okay, you drop, and then you have a very huge area to play with. Okay, hunter break, you can make yourself here. Come to the box corner. Okay, hunter coming this direction. It's not necessary for you to go through here. Okay, if hunter is coming from this direction, okay, you can just easily walk, then you're behind, safely behind already. Okay, then you can use this pallet when necessary, drop it, hunter breaks, you can come here. Now this is an area that a lot of kiter forgets that exists, because most of the time how they exit this area is through here, and this is where I said earlier, it's a trap area, it's an open area. Okay, and I hit a lot of survivors there. So what you can do, you can actually utilize this area, but at the same time, remember, be careful, because this is a dead end. Okay, so if you ever reach here, immediately drop these two pallet, then the hunter would need to come all the way here to get to you, in which you can just safely walk the pallet. Okay, or sometimes if the hunter decides to break this pallet in this direction, then you can just go back to this to the box corner zone. Okay, otherwise, if the hunter, you drop this pellet and hunter breaks in this direction, then you can just very easily run towards here, run to this pellet. Okay, can run to this pellet. Likewise, you can just loop around a little bit, drop it, hunter break, then you can come back here, come to this pellet. This pellet is also very good because you have a small little propane tank here, and it can impede the visibility for quite a bit by this loop, by looping it like this. Okay, and see, we have moved back into moon walls. Okay, so this is what I meant by Leo's memory does have a strong kiting circle. You see, I've managed to connect moon walls to shack, to OP kite, to factory, to box corner, and back to moon walls. So if you know, once you know this route, okay, you can be at any point, at any direction. You can be at OP kite, you can be at OP kite, you can make yourself transition towards the shack, you can transition yourself towards the box corner and have a detour at factory by that route. So once you know this line, this kiting line, it will increase your kiting ability by a lot. Okay. Likewise for hunter, it is also important for you to know this line so that you can cut them off accordingly. Example, you are here, okay? You are a hunter and you are trapping your survivor. Survivor drops his pellet and you know for a fact that they are trying to run towards this pellet. Okay, so once you saw that they drop the pellet, you can just bypass it by this motion. And if they continue to run, it's an easy hit. So once this happens is that once you bypass, then they are forced to go to loop back towards this particular small kite zone. Then you can break the pellet from this direction instead. By doing so, then the survivor is either trapped here, trapped around here, or decide to go back to this corner. And that will be quite disadvantaged because it's quite far to transition away. So you see what I mean? Initially, survivor plan is to drop this pellet to help them to transition here, which is close. But notice how you turn that against them by just breaking it a different direction. Now while they are positioned here, the closest pellet that they have actually is quite far away. And for them to camp at this pellet, then it's very disadvantageous, as I said earlier. Then you can just corner them by standing here. Okay, so once again, let me reiterate, just that it is as important for survivor to know the kiting line, the kiting routes. For you as a hunter is also equally important. Okay, now notice just now in my kiting circle, I don't go through the Christmas tree because I felt Christmas tree is a semi kite zone and it is also not easy to transition out or into. Okay, now as I said earlier, from this particular palette to go to over there is a stretch. Okay, oh yeah, this is another open area that I forgot, which is here. Sorry, here. Okay, this is also another desolate area. So sometimes I also able to trap my target when they break this pallet and they run straight because the OP kite is up ahead. But then in this particular range, you see there's absolutely nothing. Okay, so what happens is that it's an easy hit. I break the pallet, I saw the hunter, the kiter there, I just dash up ahead. Or I'm using Robbie, I can just move up ahead. All they have to help them is this measly looking pallet here, in which it is also useless. Okay, try not to come here. This pallet is one of those weaker ones that you have no business of using. You want to score a pellet stun is also not easy because the hunter can get quite a good vision of you, whether you turn around or not. Okay, so you see, this Christmas tree ruins is not easy to transition into. It's also not easy to transition out of. That's why I left it up. Okay, so let me take a break. Let's check the chat. Okay, almost 1 hour. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. Personally prefer memorizing key areas. Yeah, it's really up to you guys. Because you guys play accordingly as you feel comfortable. Is that if you need to felt you've face a lot of challenges or roadblocks, then maybe you can consider to change your style. Otherwise, if you're comfortable with what you're playing at, then please go ahead. All right. So lastly is what already? Let me see my notes. Kiting routes done. Okay, what is drop for initiative? Ah, this is nice. Okay, drop for initiative is when you drop the pellets early and then you force the hunter to react. So example, this is one of my favorite area for drop for initiative. These two pellets, these two pellets, drop it early, but the trick is you have to drop it not too early that the hunter can just bypass, yet not too near that you risk for a free attack. Okay, so example, how to gauge yourself is that when the hunter is at around this distance, at this distance, then you can safely drop it. Drop this pellet, then drop this pellet. So what this gives you is that a very huge playing area, very big playing area in which you can just look. And like example here, you can safely walk if need to. Okay, just play. And the hunter would most of the time have no choice but to break the pellet. When the hunter breaks the pellet, then you need to transition out. Okay, now one of the mistake or misplays, right, most of the newer players do is that example, you have these two pellet, okay, hunter breaks a pellet, then they just camp, they're just still staying around here. Now that is a mistake because you're just wasting pellets, you're just wasting time, and you're giving the hunter more time to close the distance. Because in the motion of it, the hunter breaks a pellet about 4 to 5 seconds, you could just easily take the time to transition out. Rather than, let's say this pellet is not used here, you're camping at this pellet and hoping to use it and score a pellet stun. Now I would advise against doing that. Okay, because a lot of the times, right, higher tier kiters, as in the kiter that I face, those that able to kite well are those that kite efficiently in their pellet usage and in their transition time. Just as that is a technique to my efficient hunting, there is also a technique to their efficient kiting, and I respect that very much. In which that they would wait, drop the pellet, and then encircle the area, wait for me to break, and then they would transition up. In fact, this is a technique that I learned from them. Okay. However, not all pellets can be used in the same way. Example, let us go back to the open area just now. Ah man. Okay, example here. This pellet, even if you drop initiative, okay, is that it's still very small. That the hunter can just easily Ah, shit. Is it still on? Is it still on, guys? I don't know if alright, cool. Can still hear, yeah? Okay. I almost finishing anyway. Okay. Where was I? Okay, palette drop for initiative. Yep. So as I said, not all palettes can be used to drop for initiative. Okay, your challenge is to identify which one can be do and which one cannot. Okay, lastly on to hunter. How to hunt. Okay, although I covered it quite a bit just now, let me just talk about it again. Now, first and foremost is that you must know where are the strong kite zones. Okay, this is a personal preference thing. Sometimes I chase my survivor. I chase my survivor and my let's say my distance is around here. Okay, and I saw them already going up towards the stair. Uh, yeah, towards the stair at this position. Okay, towards this position. Most of the time I will just forego and change target because it just takes too much time for me to get over there, and it's at the strong kite zone. Okay, so that's number one, knowing where are the strong kite zones. Number two is the kiting line that I showed just now. You need to know where are the kiting lines and where is their escape routes, and you need to cut them off. Okay, so example like I used here just now, they will be aiming if I'm from this direction and they're here, they will be aiming to transition towards factory. Okay, I will need to they will drop, let's say example they drop pellet and they're looping. I would make sure I'll cut their cutting line by breaking the pellet in this direction. Small difference. It's a very small difference, but makes a lot of significant change. Okay, if I drop, if they drop the pellet and I break it here, then it very easily can transition here. Whereas by breaking the pellet here in this direction, their choice or option is limited, very limited. To either go here, back into shack, or go into these cement pipes. Okay, so for hunter, maybe you really need more practice and a bit more sense of pressure, as in pressuring your your survivor, your target into making misplay. Okay, always mix and give it a little mix. You can preemptive attack, go through attack, or just walk through. Okay, always mix around, mix around, so that you give your character not sure whether to drop early or pallet stun or what. Don't be afraid of pallet stun. Okay, sometimes I also a bit for pallet stun by just doing this run then reverse back. Okay, because I felt if they don't, if I go they don't drop, then I just circle back. Rather than preemptive attack, don't look down upon this, but this motion, right, about 1 second, it may be all the difference that it could make for the kiter to transition away. So right now I bringing destructiveness. Most of the time I would just run back. If they drop, I can break. If don't, I can just continue my path. Okay, so I think that's it. That is all for my map analysis this time. Let's revisit. Okay, strong kite zones, factory, OP kite with our ciphers. Okay, moon walls, box corner. These are the stronger kite zones. Okay, weak cipher, weak cipher, 50 50 50 50 uh, here kite and kite. Oh yeah, there's another two at the propane tank that is also semi kite. Okay, let's check the chat. Oh man, really? Again. The hell? Ah, okay, okay, okay. Can you guys still hear? Can you guys still hear? Uh, okay, I think that's it. Nice. Okay, let me just give a shout out to you guys. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Map analysis for Leo's memory. So I hope you guys enjoy the stream, and hopefully it able to help you guys to improve your kiting game as well as hunting game. Do next for Arms Factory. Now Arms Factory is very interesting in which the kiting circle that I highlighted just now for Leo's memory. For Arms Factory, it is very strong in which the transitional 8 area plus the kiting zones, strong kite zones, are very close to each other. And that is why Arms Factory remains one of the very heavily survivor-sided map. But that being said, its rocket chest is very hunter-sided. So in the sense, it is sort of balanced in that way. But I'll leave it for the next stream. Let me try to see my schedule when I'll be able to schedule for another stream. Until then, thank you guys. Thanks so much. I hope you guys enjoy the stream. Hope you guys able to learn a few things or two. If you have guys have any feedback, any comments, do let me know. We are all learning from each other. Okay. Until